So I appreciate. I know that I'm standing in the way of lunch. Believe me, I know what it feels like. My stomach's telling me that I'm hungry. I've 18 stone, 6'6", lived in a nutritious grow bag all my life. So I'll keep this as brief as possible, but try and deliver the message. So I thought I'd start with explaining a little bit of context about the Royal Marine Reserve and what we do before we go on to, there's two community initiatives that I'd like to talk about today. So the mission of the RMR as a whole is fairly self-explanatory, but when you go down into what the mission of the City of London is, it can essentially be broken down into three areas: training, supporting the training pipeline to generate new reservists, supporting 3 commando brigades operational deployability, and community engagement. We have a permanent staff around 15 ranks, 5 of which work in the training department, 5 of which work in the G4, which is logistics, and then the rest is HQ elements. So we're very thin on the ground in terms of what we should be able to deliver. And to give you context, if you ever went to the training centre at Lympstone, they have recruit troops of the same size that we have in the reserve, and they have 5 people, and all they do is deliver that training, whereas our guys deliver training and everything else the CO wants them to do. But that's where we are, and the point at which I want to make about the community engagement, we are heavily invested in the local community, which we'll come on to in due course. So geographics then, we are Royal Marines Barracks Wandsworth, so that's where we sit, nice part of the world, but also for information, there is 3 really tough estates that are very local to us, which we have taken interest in trying to invest into. But wider afield, our debts, we have Royal Marine detachments that are around the southeast, so we have Portsmouth. We have a debt that was in Oxford, it's now in Marlow, and then 1 in Cambridge. And to give you an idea about reach and influence, so in Cambridge on the 7th of March, or the weekend of that, Cambridge Half Marathon is on. They've been asked to have some Royal Marines in uniform at the finish line, where they're expecting a footfall of around 15,000 people. Massive recruiting opportunity and influence that we can have. We did have a debt in Kent, and it's aspirational at this stage to try and reinvigorate that. So we have got a fairly sizable footprint across the region. So when we look at the community engagement specifically, we are invested, although a small staff, we are invested into our local community. But it's the ones on your right-hand side that I want to talk to you about. It's Royal Marines Community Boxing Partnership and Challenge South London, as it's now called. So the Community Boxing Partnership. So this was a bit of a chance meeting by the unit and the local boxing coach, Karen Horsfield, who runs the Putney and Roehampton Boxing Club, and they were essentially looking for a new site to train around about 50 boxers from the ages of 6 or 7 through to 17, 18 years old. And they get that footfall around every session that they take, and they're looking for a new venue. So we are the new de facto home of the Putney and Roehampton Boxing Club, which we can then we have then influenced, positively influenced their members. To give you an idea about why we want to do this, I was speaking to Karen a couple of weeks ago about it, and I said, "How's things going?" Because it's a fairly new concept. They've been on site now maybe 6 or 7 months. So I said to her, "How's it going?" And she said, "Yeah, it's really good." She said, "I thought that one of the issues that we would face would be the fact that all the kids and parents have to sign in and out every time they come into a site. You know, as military, we hate doing that ourselves." And I was like, "Okay, that's understandable." But she said they love it, absolutely love it. And the parents are like, "Right, make sure you sign out before." You know, they're really militant about it. And I sat there and I was trying to figure out why. And then it dawned on me that for those kids that come from those estates, that's the one time they actually get to tell anyone that they're somebody. That's really powerful. And we were trying to explain this to our staff as to why we wanted to invest into this area, to improve their sense of purpose, to try and distract them from walks of life that may take them to knife crime, that may take them into the wrong side of the law. And for that one moment, just signing their name when they turn up and having to press the buzzer and then sign a name in a register really, really meant something to them. And actually, the exposure that they get from uniformed services, even though they're only on site for maybe an hour or two, once or twice a week, was really, really incredible. And they absolutely love it. So much so that we held a charity boxing show in December. Half of the money went towards the boxing club, and half of the money went to the RMA Rawlins charity, and we managed to raise just under £22,000 in December, which was an incredible achievement, and we can now invest that back in. Also importantly, the CO is a very good wordsmith, and we managed to get just under £20,000 from the Armed Forces Covenant grant scheme as well, which is for a club that has members that struggle to pay £1.50 membership on a daily basis is life-changing for them. So it's been a really good investment. And we're partnered with another organisation that's an ex-Royal Marine, so it's just a good fill, called Knives Down, Gloves Up, who is trying to tackle knife crime in the hard-to-reach areas and underprivileged areas of London. So this is watch this space and see how we go. But from the support from the Armed Forces Covenant, was able to make this happen, and also RIFCA as well, the Reserve Forces Cadet Association, have been very supportive in making this happen. So just a personal thank you on behalf of the unit to those two organisations. Okay, is that the right one? Yeah. So we move on to Challenge Wandsworth. This is actually called Challenge South London now. In 2 weeks, this is going to be the third iteration of this concept. And what it's aimed to do is, again, very similar to the boxing, is it's aimed to inspire young people hard to reach communities that are vulnerable and susceptible to the wrong path in life, shall we say, and try to bring them into a uniformed environment. And so this is a multi-agency concept, which we are there to provide support to the local police services to target those individuals. And essentially what it is the providers on there. We have there's a fitness challenge, there's a self-defense challenge, we have the London Fire Brigade ambulance service coming on site, so the kids will do high ropes access with the London Fire Brigade. We're partnered with Southfields Academy next door as well, and interestingly enough, the deputy head is Army Reserve and gets it, which is really fortuitous, and they're about to start, I believe, a CCF this September, I believe, so on their site we'll have Harlequins Rugby will come in, Power League, which is the football, and then we have our commando chef. He comes up and he does some nutrition, and the kids can actually cook and find out that actually it's not that difficult to cook an omelette, and this is how you do it. You know, really sort of light touch, but really earthy, grassroots, enjoyable day. We have challenge with this one in terms of the fact that we have to run it in a half term. No one's interested in a half term. The kids, and we do that because it's the less effect on the facilities on site next door. We obviously, by virtue of the nature of the type of individuals we're trying to entice in, it's very difficult to have a pull factor that is enough, that isn't just abseiling. Although that I'd love to do that, that's not everyone's cup of tea. So we do have challenges that we face with this one. It's not as it's taken a little bit more work. So we've opened it out wider than Wandsworth. It's now for Challenge South London, and we're starting to get a little bit more buy-in, which is fantastic. There you go. There was a video, but Alex couldn't make it work, so. But I promise to keep it brief, but that is essentially what Rawlins Barracks Wandsworth are doing at this current stage, and hopefully we can look to develop those projects as we move forward. Thank you very much.